You do everything right to control your blood sugar, and yet the numbers stay high. You cut back on sweets, you drink more water, you walk a little more, you follow your doctor's advice, and still, the sugar remains stubborn, as if something is quietly working against you. I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell, health educator, and I want to tell you something important right from the start. In the vast majority of older adults, the problem is not only the visible sugar. The real problem is the ingredients consumed every single day, without suspecting anything, the ones that seem harmless, healthy, or perfectly normal, but that slowly raise blood sugar levels day after day. This is the most common mistake I see, and it is more widespread than most people realize. Many people believe that only white sugar, candy, or pastries raise blood sugar. But the reality is far more unsettling. There are ingredients that have no sweet taste, that seem completely safe, that are even sold as healthy choices, and yet they constantly elevate blood glucose in a way that is hard to detect. Based on observations in people over 60, more than half of those with elevated blood sugar cannot correctly identify the foods contributing to the problem. Not because they don't want to take care of themselves, but because no one has clearly explained it to them. Today I'm going to show you 5 very common ingredients that many people consume every day and that may be preventing your blood sugar from stabilizing, even when you think you are eating well. Stay with me through this entire video because you won't just identify these ingredients. You will understand why they affect blood sugar, how they act inside your body, and what simple change you can make to protect yourself, without suffering and without absurd restrictions. So let's get straight into it, because sometimes improving your health doesn't start by adding new things. It starts by removing what should never have been there. Ingredient number 5. Industrial whole grain bread. This is often one of the greatest nutritional deceptions, especially for older adults. Many people come to me and say, "Doctor, I no longer eat white bread. I only eat whole grain bread." They say it with calm, with confidence. But here is the hard truth. The vast majority of whole grain bread sold in supermarkets is not truly whole grain. It is often made with refined flour to which bran is added to give it a darker color and a healthy appearance. The problem is that this type of bread behaves in your body almost exactly like white bread. When you eat it, it digests quickly, it converts into glucose within minutes, and it causes a sharp spike in blood sugar. In a younger person, the body can compensate for that spike. But after 60, this rapid rise in blood sugar often lingers much longer in circulation, and it silently damages blood vessels, nerves, and organs. I have seen many people who eat industrial whole grain bread every morning for breakfast and cannot understand why their blood sugar is elevated from the moment they wake up, even without having eaten anything sweet. And there is something else. Industrial whole grain bread often contains hidden sugars, syrups, refined oils, and preservatives that worsen insulin resistance with daily consumption. This does not mean you can never eat bread again, but it does mean that industrial whole grain bread every day can be a constant act of sabotage against your blood sugar. The pancreas overworks, insulin loses its effectiveness, and tissues become increasingly resistant. Many patients tell me, "Doctor, I don't eat bread." But when we examine their full day, we find crackers, cereals, packaged products, breaded items. This is not negligence, it is a lack of information. And these flours tend to replace the foods that would truly help control blood sugar, like proteins, real vegetables, and healthy fats. In other words, they don't just raise blood sugar, they prevent the body from having the tools to bring it back down. And now, if this ingredient has made you think about how many times it appears without you noticing it, prepare yourself for number 1. Because the final ingredient on this list is not just common. It is consumed every day, even by people who believe they are doing everything correctly to control their blood sugar. Ingredient number 1. sugar-free sweeteners. This is often the most controversial and also the most underestimated. Many people, after receiving a diagnosis of elevated blood sugar, make one immediate change. They eliminate sugar and replace it with sugar-free sweeteners, aspartame, saccharin, acesulfame potassium. These products contain no calories. They do not raise blood sugar directly, and that is why they seem like the perfect solution. But the problem is not in the numbers of the moment. The problem is in what they trigger inside the body with daily use. Various studies have observed that the regular consumption of these sweeteners alters the gut microbiome, meaning the bacteria that help regulate glucose metabolism. When this microbiome becomes imbalanced, the body responds less effectively to insulin, even when no real sugar has been consumed. In older adults, this effect is even more pronounced because the digestive system no longer adapts as quickly. And there is something else. The intensely sweet taste deceives the brain. The body prepares to receive sugar, but none arrives. The consequence: greater insulin release, more metabolic confusion, and over time a worsening blood sugar control. I have had patients who completely eliminated table sugar but sweetened everything with reduced sugar products, and yet their values never improved. This is not a lack of willpower, it is an error in approach. When the body lives in constant stimulation of sweet taste, even without calories, it loses the ability to regulate blood sugar normally. This is why this ingredient earns first place, not because it acts fast, but because it acts every single day silently. And now the important question. If these 5 ingredients affect your blood sugar, what can you actually do starting today without complicating your life? The answer begins not with dramatic change but with awareness, because the body of an older adult responds far better to progressive, sustainable, and conscious shifts than to extreme sacrifices that last a week before being abandoned. When you understand what an ingredient truly does inside you, better decisions come naturally, without effort, without fear, and without guilt. Because the real improvement of blood sugar does not begin in a laboratory, it begins in daily awareness. Here is a clear sign to watch for. If the bread stays fresh for weeks without going stale, that is not a bread your metabolism appreciates. And if this ingredient surprised you, wait for the next one, because number 4 is present in almost every kitchen, even among people who believe their diet is exemplary. Ingredient number 4, refined vegetable oils. This ingredient does not raise blood sugar immediately the way bread does, and that is precisely what makes it so dangerous. I am talking about oils like sunflower, corn, refined canola, and soy, used every day for cooking, frying, or sautéing food. These oils have no sweet taste. They seem harmless, but they create a chronic low-grade inflammation, and this inflammation has a direct effect on blood sugar. When the body is inflamed, insulin no longer works properly. It is as if it is knocking on the door of the muscle, and the muscle simply does not answer. The result: glucose remains in circulation in the blood far longer than it should. In older adults, this effect is even more pronounced because with age, sensitivity to inflammatory processes increases, especially in the liver and muscles. To explain it simply, it is not that these oils raise blood sugar directly, it is that they prevent the body from bringing it back down correctly. And there is another important detail. When these oils are heated repeatedly, as is often the case in daily cooking, they oxidize and produce compounds that further disrupt the metabolic balance. This is why some people eat no sugar, eat no bread, but cook everything in refined oils and still cannot control their blood sugar. That is not bad luck, that is biochemistry. Now, if 2 such common ingredients can affect your blood sugar this much, imagine what happens when they combine with the next one. Because ingredient number 3 is not only present every day, It is often consumed several times a day without anyone ever questioning it. Ingredient number 3. Fruit juices, even natural ones. This point often meets resistance because many people say to me, "Doctor, but it comes from fruit, how can it possibly be harmful?" And here I need you to listen carefully. The whole fruit is not the problem. The problem is the juice itself. When you blend or press a fruit, something essential happens. You eliminate most of the fiber and concentrate the natural sugar into liquid form. This completely changes the way your body processes it. A glass of orange juice, for example, can contain the sugar of 3 or 4 oranges, but without the fiber that slows its absorption. The result: sugar enters the blood quickly, very quickly. In older adults, this blood sugar spike is often higher and more prolonged because the muscles no longer absorb glucose with the same efficiency as before. And here is another frequent mistake. Many people drink juice first thing in the morning to cleanse themselves, to start the day well, or because their doctor told them to have something natural. But for the metabolism, juice on an empty stomach is like pouring fuel onto a fire when blood sugar regulation is already weakened. I have had patients who completely eliminated table sugar, candy and desserts, but continued drinking juice every day, and their blood sugar remained uncontrollable. Not because they were doing anything with bad intentions, but because no one had explained this difference to them. The whole fruit forces the body to work. The juice goes directly into the bloodstream. And the more liquid the sugar, the harder it is to control. If this video is already making you reconsider something in your daily routine, this is exactly the right moment to subscribe to this channel and activate the bell so you never miss an update. Because the next 2 ingredients are the ones most people overlook completely, and they may be the very reason your numbers refuse to improve. Ingredient number 2. Hidden refined flours. This is one of the hardest to spot because they don't always appear as flour on your plate, and yet they are everywhere. I am talking about refined flours found in salted crackers, semi-industrial breads, light cereals, pastries, breaded foods, thickeners, and even in products marketed as healthy or suitable for diabetics. Here is the problem. When a flour has been refined, the body no longer recognizes it as a complex food. It treats it as a fast-absorbing sugar. No matter that it doesn't taste sweet, no matter that it is salty, no matter that it comes in the form of a biscuit, a flatbread, or the base of a meal. Once inside the body, the effect is the same. It converts rapidly into glucose. In older adults, this type of flour has a very dangerous cumulative effect. It does not always cause major spikes, but it keeps blood sugar slightly elevated throughout the entire day, and over time that is even more damaging, because blood sugar that never fully comes down keeps the body in a constant state of metabolic stress.